Once again, it is September 4th, 2014. And we are here to bear witness with what is happening in a very high-profile voting rights case concerning Equipment 10+2 Lula Smart third trial. As you know, her first trial ended up in a mistrial. And so the state of Georgia brought her back into court for a second time. That second trial ended up being a mistrial. And now, starting on August the 19th, the third trial was begun. It was started by complaints of a high submission of absentee ballots being submitted by 10 outstanding Brooks County black citizens. Then they also got two other individuals, also black, and the rest is history. They were brought into court by District Attorney David Miller, Assistant Attorney Brad Shealy, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, along with Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp. And of course, you have heard what the G.B.R. has done in this case. I walked the streets in Quitman along with the late Reverend Calvin Benjamin after they were arrested on the 21st of December 2010. These black citizens talked about how they were intimidated by the G.B.R. Some to the point that they said and are still saying that they will never vote again in Brooks County. Yet, Eric Holder of the Justice Department, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, little to nothing seems to be in place to investigate the voters' complaints. And so a meeting was held at the Brooks County Board of Elections. It's all been documented. All you have to do is Google the Equipment 10+2, and you'll see that particular meeting. Even Glenn Austin, I believe his name was, but he was an investigator from the Secretary of State's office. He came down over at Pastor Avery's church. He took complaints. He took 2 or 3 of my DVDs, said he was going to take them back and include them in his investigation. And you can see all of this on YouTube, wherein he said that he would get back to the citizens here in Brooks County. And yet the citizens are still asking me, what did the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, what did he do with our complaints? What did he do with the DVDs? And now, since they submitted those complaints and gave those DVDs to the Secretary of State's office and made open complaints, even a commissioner, James Maxwell, talked about what had happened to him, to that investigator. And do you not know that Glenn seemed to show concern? One candidate was running for office. But guess what? He too has been ignored. And so we must ask a question. Is there a conspiracy to keep voters from the polls here in the state of Georgia? Haven't finished yet. Can you imagine? September 4th marks the 11th day. Yet, you haven't seen no TV stations, no radio stations, no newspaper, nobody to cover this most important trial that is dealing with Dr. Nancy Dennett, the Honorable Diane Thomas, who's working on her PhD as well, and other professional people. It is, now just imagine what would have happened here in South Georgia if G.B.R, Tyrone Brooks, Reverend Joseph Lowry, Clyde, the reporter from Atlanta, and what if they had not come down here? I cannot understand why Al Sharpton of MSNBC or Victor Blackwell from CNN could ignore these voting rights issues here in Brooks County, Georgia. I just can't understand it. Moreover, I can't understand why Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Fox News, ABC, NBC, all these news media outlets, not in Russia, not in China, not in Afghanistan, Pakistan, or some other third world communist nation, but right here where I stand, in Quitman, Georgia, the county of Brooks, and the state of Georgia. This news is being ignored. And so we must ask a question today. Just how deep does the mole hole go when it comes down to circumventing the black vote here in the state of Georgia? Not to mention the newly elected black mayors in these small towns, such as Linda Harris in Meigs, that has been arrested twice, given 2 trespass warnings. Both of her brothers have been arrested once, given 2 criminal trespasses. And let's move on over while we're at it to Gordon, Georgia, where Mary Ann Whippaloo is catching hell by a certain clique, apparently, who don't want an audit, a forensic audit, done on the money. People believe that there is something wrong. And when the auditor came to address city council meeting, do you not know people on the council tried to block something that every citizen of the right spirit should want to know? No, haven't finished yet. Then when you go to Lumpkin, Georgia, I was called to Lumpkin, wherein a young black mayor, just elected office, was referred to as a nigger by a white lady on city council. And it's just sad, y'all. It's really sad. I haven't finished yet. In Dawson, Georgia, for whatever reason, Chris Wright, young man, 24 years old when he was elected by the majority vote, not by a coup, shot 6 times, left in his yard for dead. And yet when we write to the Secretary of State, when we write to the governor's office, we can't get anything from them. These mayors tell me, George, what in the hell is going on? In Meigs, Georgia, a retired police chief of 30 years, I think it is, he too is asking a question. What's going on? I have never seen this happen before since I've been in Meigs. This is what Jimmy said, a white man. You have seen Kevin Moran speak here in the front of the courthouse here. And he too say that the governor, the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, and others need to apologize for what they have done to the Quitman 10+2 for 4 years. And still, there is 10 more cases to go. And if each one of them be tried 3 times trying to find a verdict, only God knows how much taxpayers' money will be lost in the cosmos. And some of us believe that what the Quitman 10 did was got out and registered people to vote. Then they went out, sent out application for absentee ballots, which is legal. Then had those people to file by absentee ballots, which is their rights and nothing wrong with it. And they gave Brooks County Board of Education for the first time in the history of Brooks County a majority black vote on the Brooks County Board of Education. And some people didn't like it. Some people even jumped political parties, then turned around and ran again, which many of us believe was against the law. But the judges that are in place seem to side with those in the clique and possibly among the slicks. And so I'm going to close, but I want you all to know something. The news media seem to be in cahoots with somebody because, in truth, y'all, how could this happen in America? A hot profile case. When they were first arrested, they filled the newspapers up. They filled up the television station, radio talk shows, just running all over the place. But now that the G.B.R. are on point about this form that they got, that they wrote something down on the form, but the voters who voted say that's not what they told the special agent of the G.B.R. And so the G.B.R. now is being questioned, just like in McGee case up there in Macon, where she had her son, she say, murdered, and the G.B.R. is involved in that. And so somebody got to tell the truth under our form of government, or our nation is going to hell. I served 20 years. I served 20 years in this United States Armed Forces. And I took an oath and obligation to defend this country from both foreign and domestic enemies. And whenever a power or police force come up against the American people, then that's an enemy or a threat to our democracy. And if I could be willing to go to Vietnam, go to Panama, go to other war-torn areas to fight, bleed, and die for this nation, then don't you think I should stand up for the people here in Brooks County, where I graduated in 1970? Don't you think I should stand up for my children, my grandchildren, and coming generations of children? If we espouse around the world that we are a nation of laws and that we believe in freedom of justice and equality and the right to vote and free presses and all this kind of jazz that we were taught in civics lesson, then why have they taken that out of civic lesson today when we walk the streets? You had better wake up. Once again, I am reporting this. I am reporting this because there are those who don't want you to know this. And so Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. And because I want you free, this is why I do what I do. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Rhines. I'm doing this because it must be done. God bless you. And above all, stand up, people. Don't let our nation be destroyed like ancient Rome, and it will be destroyed. The Bible says, if my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray, and turn from their wicked way, then will they hear from heaven. And God said he would heal our land. Our land cannot be healed without truth. And so somebody must stand up for truth today. Somebody gotta stand up for truth today. The Ghetto Free Press in Quitman, Georgia, Brooks County, state of Georgia, and in the United States of America, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Bye-bye.